All right, so this is actually my ranked PB that's going to be going on in the background, which is super cool, super awesome. Fastest rank time ever. Amazing. But before we begin with that, that's not the reason you clicked on the video. You clicked on the video because you're here to hear about the OfficeMax Shrine, which is actually a real thing. Well, I mean, it's not the OfficeMax Shrine, I suppose, but it is a shrine from OfficeMax. I'm going to put a picture, actually, on the video right now so that you don't think I'm clickbaiting. I promise we actually get here. This is like kind of crazy, kind of funny. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, I guess I worked at OfficeMax for like 2 years almost in high school, which obviously I'm trying to make a story. I'm trying to make it fun, entertaining. But I just want to be clear, that was like actually a really good job to have in high school. I don't regret it at all. I learned a lot, met a lot of cool people. It was really fun. So if I ever sound like negative in this video about it, or I'm just focusing on like the bad things, just know that like obviously this is a story and a lot of the story points are going to be the more exciting things that happened while I was there, which, you know, of course has to do with conflict, things like that. So just want to be clear. OfficeMax was actually a great time for me when I was in high school. Really good job to have. But anyway, this is the story of the time that I worked there, or at least I guess a collection of stories, and like how it all kind of led up to my coworkers literally building a shrine, which is kind of a crazy sentence to hear, and I promise we're going to get there, and it's all going to make sense, hopefully, unless I ramble and don't make sense, in which case I guess it won't make sense, and you're just going to have to deal with that, which is super sad. Anyway, so before we actually start, though, the first thing that I want to clarify is everything is from my point of view, and I was a high schooler back when all of this happened. I have more work experience now, but even now I'm still just like a college student, so I'm sure I missed things. I'm sure some things didn't make sense to me. Also, going back to the video that we're watching, I think I'm looking for a lava pool, and there's one on my right, which I just don't see. Maybe not. Maybe I'm still looking for gravel. But anyway, this is a really slow enter for it to be PB, which is kind of wild, but we'll just keep watching, see what happens. You know, I guess I am spoiling it. It does eventually PB, which is super cool. Anyways, though, all of the stuff that I'm talking about is from my point of view, so I may get some things wrong. And also, obviously, I'm going to be changing every single name that I mention for privacy's sake. So I'm going to talk about names just like, you know, they were these people, but just know, like, they obviously did have different names. So anyway, let's actually get into it. So I decided to work at OfficeMax because I wanted the discounts. Oh, I wasn't looking for a lava pool. I was looking for flint so I could light the portal. That makes sense. Anyway, I worked at OfficeMax because I wanted the discounts. I like office supplies, you know, it's cool. It's relatively close to where I lived. And when we got there, one of the first things that happened was there was like this big meeting, you know. If you've ever worked at like retail or a place similar to that, then you'll know that, you know, every once in a while they have to do these like corporate meetings to like run over policies with you and like, oh, you gotta do XYZ thing, or like, oh, we didn't meet our quarter, or, oh, we did meet our quota, things like that. So, you know, it's boring stuff, but this one is different. This is still the most like eventful meeting that I had ever been to. And it was like in like my first week or first couple, I can't remember exactly, but it was like very shortly after I got there. So basically, the way that I've pieced it together is that there were like 5, or did I cut it down to 4? I can't remember. I like have a bunch of notes here that I'm going off of because like I want to be able to just kind of go on the fly and like explain it. But I think, yeah, I'm only talking about like there were 5 managers, I guess, but only 4 are really relevant to the story. So the 4 that are relevant are there's this guy named Harrison, name changed obviously, and this guy named Ed. Now Harrison and Ed are very interesting people, because they co-managed the store, which is very, very weird. Like, to have a head co-manager. The reason for this is because the guy who actually managed the store managed another one as well, and he was just always at the other one. So Harrison and Ed, these guys are like to be completely honest, just basically doing the work of managing the store without getting the pay for it or like the recognition for it, which is, kind of not great. But anyway, I guess they get to do it together or whatever. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it works, but all I know is that is part of the story later, is that these people are doing more work than they were like supposed to be. So there's Harrison and there's Ed. There's this lady named Lisa who managed the print shop, which is, for context, I worked at the print center, so like I was doing copies and what else did I do? Helped people with like faxing, boring stuff. I enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was kind of cool. There's like a lot of binding stuff and like binding books and just like, it was basically kind of like, I had it explained to me when I first got there by one of the people doing like the corporate jargon stuff, like, it's like doing arts and crafts for like a job, which obviously is not true. It is still like a job, and sometimes it does just kind of suck, but honestly, it wasn't that far off. Like it was just sometimes just kind of doing like arts and crafts in like a corporate environment, which it does have some appeal to it. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it for a long time. So there's this print lady, or the head of the print center, named Lisa, and then there was this guy named William, again, name changed, obviously, and William is interesting because he like was never on anyone's bad side, and he was just always like the friendly guy, and he was just cool, and he was just a manager, and he just minded his own business, and he was like, just like the chill guy, right? So you got these 4 people. Consider these like the main cast of the show. Like imagine if this is like an episode of The Office or whatever. These are the 4 main cast. So the way I pieced it together is that, I mean, obviously I could be wrong, but at this very first meeting, right, you've got these 4 people, and Lisa thinks that Ed and Harrison, the main managers, are being rude and mean to the employees, and she's basically saying that like, you need to act more like me, which she was like actually like a lot more outgoing and like friendly on appearance than them. And so they did this thing, which is actually wild, where they had us rank, like all the employees had us rank our favorite managers, and it was supposed to be anonymous, of course, but like everybody's gonna. I think they literally got the votes out and like tried to decipher based on like handwriting and whatever. So I don't know if anonymous was the best. Anyway, I think this is like how to not manage 101. The funny thing is, like, everybody put, like, or maybe not everyone, but a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, put William, which is, again, like the guy just that didn't really have anything to do with it and was just minding his own business, as like their favorite manager. And I think Lisa got upset. It was so funny. So anyway, this is kind of the type of environment that it is that I step into. Everybody's nice to me. I'm just like a high schooler. I'm not causing trouble. So like, obviously I wasn't really into this too deep. It was just kind of funny to watch. So, time passes. I work there quite a while, right? I'm doing print stuff, but the main things that are really important is that Harrison is like super smart. He's like weirdly smart, like if you've ever, at least in my experience, at like retail and fast food, because like I worked at an Arby's before this, like maybe this is just me. I could be very wrong, but I feel like there's always just like one like weirdly smart person in like an environment like that you work with. And it's just interesting. Anyway, Harrison was this guy, and he unfortunately used his smarts to like do a lot of extra work for clients in the print center. Like he would do design work for them and like take it home with him to like, I don't know, work on it and like create their like branding and stuff. So that's not great. But then Lisa, obviously before I came, took over the print center, and then all of a sudden we're trying to deal with all these clients who are expecting us to do design work for them. And for context, again, actually I guess not again, most of you don't know this, but I live in like rural Tennessee. Or I did back in I don't anymore, but I lived in like rural Tennessee. So you got a lot of people who don't really know how to open their emails. I'm not trying to stereotype, but like just factually, there were a lot of people who came in and did not know how to open their emails. So explaining to them that like we no longer are going to do the design work for them is a little bit rough. And like it got complicated too because like we did do it for a little while and direction on whether to or whether to not was like weird and kind of up in the air, and it was strange for a little bit, right? For example, there was this weird guy, I'm changing his name too, obviously, named Mr. Fletcher. And he would come in, and I was told by a coworker that he had said I try to keep my channel PG, so like I'm not gonna actually say what he said, but he said some like weird stuff. And he was like always asking me like if I should be in school and like why I'm not in school and stuff, which for context, I'm not gonna get into my schooling here, but like for context, like I don't know. I've done pretty well for myself academically. Like I'm gonna be fine. Like I might be going to grad school. Like I'm in college at this point. I'm a TA. Like I'm chill. I did fine in high school, right? So this was not like my schedule was a little bit weird, and that's probably why I was asking. But it was just a lot of like really like personal annoying stuff like that. So anyway, we got a lot of those customers, and then. So and those types of people, explaining to them that you can't really do like the design work anymore is kind of strange. So all of this happens, right? And then Harrison eventually leaves to like go work at like some new fancy like tech OfficeMax, like a new Office Depot somewhere. It's weird, but like I mean, like good for him. That sounds like what's the word? What's the word? I can't think of the word. Oh my goodness. Like a raise, but not promotion. Oh my goodness. I couldn't think of the word promotion. Oh my goodness. I'm about to zero cycle. I have to get through this story quickly. Okay. Anyway, so he goes off and works at like this brand new cool place. He gets promoted, right? And what's the other guy's name that I made for him? Ed. I called him Ed, right? So Ed is left here basically all by himself, managing the store, doing the work of like a lot of people, and not getting paid for it. And then corporate decides to come in and say, okay, we actually do need a manager for the store, which makes sense, right? This other guy who's barely here can't manage 2 stores. So it makes sense to promote Ed, everyone in the store thinks, but they decide to bring in this person called Melissa. Now, at this point, I'm about ready to leave for college, so I want no part of this, but basically almost like a coup happens. Like, a lot of people are quitting. People are upset that Ed is not, like, getting promoted for, like, this work that he's been doing basically for a long time, or at least this is how I was explained. I mean, it could be very wrong. I'm sure, like, Melissa has, like, a completely different story, but there are people leaving, and so I just try to stay out of it because I'm like leaving anyway. And like I'm not gonna work there in like 2 weeks. So all of a sudden, like Ed quits, he like throws down his keys and like walks out the door, and like he's upset. And so everyone's upset at Melissa, and then the people that I'm working with one night decide to literally build a shrine to Ed after he leaves, which is so funny. They went to like the Dollar Tree and got like those little like candles and stuff. So I guess the run's over, so I gotta stop my story here. Hopefully I covered most all of it. I don't know if I did. Maybe it was boring, maybe it wasn't entertaining at all, but yeah, anyway, they built a shrine. That's why. That's the story. There's a little bit of my time at OfficeMax, I guess. I don't know if that's... Maybe like 5 of you enjoyed it. We'll see. I mean, I guess if like 2 people enjoyed this, then it's worth it, but I should stop rambling. I'll see y'all later. Bye. Oh, subscribe. You should do that thing.